I have Kors Vandiver. I want to make sure I say his name correctly.
Hi,
Hey!
how are you?
How are you? Welcome to Sheen Talk. I'm Kendell. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
Yeah,
Thank you. It's Korstiaan, but I go by Kors. So
so Kors Dion or
no,
Kors Tian.
Korstiaan. Yeah, it's all just one word. It's a Dutch name.
I love
But
that. I love that.
thank
And then
you.
you go by Kors.
Yes, like Michael Kors. Yeah,
Okay, Kors. Because people say my
yeah.
name wrong all the time. So I always, it's very imperative for me to say your name right.
I
and,
appreciate it.
and say your last name.
Vandiver.
Vandiver.
That is
You had to be in the business, let me tell you, because that's a good name.
it. Thank you
That's
so
a
much.
good name. Welcome. So let me tell you about our guest today. He is an award-winning writer, producer, director with his original footing in the Atlanta music industry and brings over 14 years of experience in the film and TV industry. His scripts have landed in the interests of Ryan Gosling, Idris Elba, Nate Parker, Anthony Mackie, and even Oscar winners. I always say his, I want Mahershala, right? That's how you say it,
Mahershala
Mahershala.
Ali.
I love
Yeah.
him. Ali, Regina King, and not to mention studio producers, agencies, and managements such as Sony, Columbia, and so on and so on and so on. Tyler Perry's
Yeah.
34th Street Film. So you are doing it.
I'm trying to do
No, you
it.
are. You are. So how did
Mhm.
you get into your welcome? So how did you get in the TV film industry? Is that something that you always wanted to do since you were a child?
No, I've just always been an artist. I was a kid who was drawing a lot and painting, and I thought I was going to be like a Marvel comic book artist or a fashion designer,
Oh, wow.
something like that. Yeah, I think my parents they were really good about encouraging me around my art, but when it was time to go to school, and I was like, oh, I want to, do comic books, it was kind of frowned upon, and so now I look back and I'm like, yeah, we missed that Marvel boat, these,
Right.
these $1 billion movies that y'all told
Right.
me I shouldn't be
Come
doing,
on.
right?
Right.
Thank God, I'm still holding on to Anthony Mackie's coattails. Hopefully, I'll get in where I fit in somewhere with that one day.
Absolutely. So what are some of the things that have that you've been working on in the last year or two, or what are some of the things that we might have saw or heard about and that you were
Mhm.
behind the scenes with those?
I'm most popular working with Nate Parker, and the Birth of a Nation was a project
Mm,
that I produced on. Obviously, we had great success with Sundance, and not so much success with the people afterwards.
yeah,
Um,
because
but
it
it
was
was
the
still a
wrong
great experience.
time.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what? God's timing is always the right timing. You know what I mean? That's the bottom line. Like we did, what we, set out to do, especially what Nate set out to do. I never want to like step on his toes. His brother sacrificed so much.
Yeah.
And I mean, we knew, that it was kind of the process. Like him in prayer, like people don't know like all the stuff that brother went through. He fasted for a year
Mm.
to make that film. Not only just food in his body, but fasted from work. He wouldn't work. He felt like God was saying to him he couldn't take another job until that movie was done.
Wow.
Um,
That's
yeah, it
powerful.
was just a lot of things that were so amazing about that process.
That's
So, uh,
powerful. And I'm glad that you said that too, because I know, some of the things that he's gone through, everybody has heard. And I'm a big advocate for redemption and really
mhm,
having a conversation and talking to people about certain things before you pass judgment.
mhm.
But even just saying that about him, it shows how dedicated he was to the project and to his commitment, and
Oh,
to
absolutely.
God when you
Mhm.
think about that.
Oh, it was. It
Absolutely.
was definitely a faith-based project for I think everybody involved. I know it was for me. I usually choose projects based on, foundationally, can I express God in a unique way? Can I show His love in a unique way? Can I help somebody in doing this project? Those things are really important to me. And so, looking at, people who don't know Nat Turner's story, it was, him being led by God, miraculously learning how to read the Bible and, seeing an eclipse and as he asked for a sign. For me personally, I also looked at that as there's a scripture in Revelations that says when you add or take away from the word, it's a curse. And to use this brother, right, to manipulate the word for the purposes of slavery, there was a curse that came with that in my opinion. And so that was kind of how I was led in my choices in Jordan 8. And I mean, his spiritual walk, I did a film with him called Lou with him and Omari Hardwick and NEIC Courtney Aldi, which was also faith-based. And it was the first time he felt like he had an opportunity to express his faith. And so he's been serious about his walk with God because, God helped him through that situation in his past. And so
that's so, when I think about that and I'm listening to you speak about that, and that's what I do. That's the kind of projects that I do every time I'm doing anything. I have to mention God. Like that was my gift and my promise to God. Whatever I do, whoever I'm talking to, I'm going to make sure I fit him in somewhere. We're going to have that conversation. And those are the type of things that I'm involved with. So just to hear you, yes, to hear you talking about this and saying that, it really does warm my heart, because in this business, so many people forget about God. They forget about faith, and they forget about who got them and who set the path and who, put this here and here in order for you to get to these places. They forget. And back in the day, it was not cool to talk about God. Like, those are some of the things that they would say, well, don't talk about religion, don't talk about your faith. And it just warms my heart that, people like you, very accomplished, and you talked about Nate, and so many other people are openly talking about their faith. Have you always been that way in this industry, or at one point did you say, you know what, I'm just going to talk about it?
I've been, as far as success goes and the amount of time I've been in this industry, that's probably what people know me for the most, in terms of my walk with God. Not saying I'm perfect, but, the people who know me, I get called, into a room full of superstars to pray for them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not that, nobody sees behind the scenes, you know what I mean? And so, that's what I'm most proud of. But, I'm kind of known as an artivist. And so, again, like, for me, my art is intentional. I did a short film called Fate, just a couple years ago. Not a couple years ago. It's been a few years now, but we worked as a kind of an effort to get a man out of prison. It's about a guy who's serving life in prison for $20 worth of marijuana. I'm from Louisiana. He was locked up in Angola. I was working with some kids trying to teach them about film, and we just set out to try to free this guy. And ultimately, it took 4 years. He'd already, been in prison 12 years, but he was released from prison. The sad part is, just last week he was murdered, after being out of prison less than 6 months,
Wow.
Somebody, robbed him, basically set him up. He got a GoFundMe, to help him out. And that's the sad thing. It's like, we beat the system when the system tries to kill us, and then we kill each other. And that's the problem I still want to try to overcome.
Wow. When you just said that, just a little sharpness went through me. Like, you survived that, and God brings you out of that, and you're fighting to get past that. And then you're out, like you said, 6 months or less, and now you're gone. The stories that you're telling and how you're telling are very impactful and powerful. People, I know that they tell you that. And when I think about you and some of the things that you're saying, and you said that you're in a room full of superstars and they ask you to pray, that's where that line is no longer. Whether you have the superstar here, the filmmaker here, the janitor here, when it comes to prayer, everyone is gathering around and everyone is on that same playing field. And as you're talking, I was thinking about Devon Franklin being bold enough to put certain things in his contract, and you saying, this is what I've always done and it's important and people know me this way and know some of the work. Like, so when you first came out, and this is just a part of who you are, and you started building, and you've been doing this for over a decade now, have you gotten any pushback on some of the projects you do or some of the things that you say no to based on your faith?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, it hurts to say no to a lot of things because a lot of things that you say no to come with really big checks.
Right.
And
Right. That's real. That's real.
yeah. So you turn mercy. Did I do the right thing? Was this something I should do? Sometimes you want to question it, but God has been faithful. He's more generous. Honestly, I shouldn't even be here. I was, running around in the street for years doing stuff I shouldn't have been doing, and getting in trouble and doing stuff like that. And I went from homelessness, to where I am now. So I've had so many ups and downs, and I've been through so much. But now I look back, and it's just like how there's people say, it's in the word, but they say from faith to faith. I myself go from faith to faith, from testimony to testimony. I don't just have one. I have maybe 100 or more. You know what I mean? Of how good God has been. I can't count the times that something amazing happens to me almost every day, even when it's a rough day. I can see a miracle from the Lord, and so that's what I'm excited about. Currently I'm producing. I wrote a script about Tamir Rice, the kid who was killed in Cleveland. That script is at CAA. We've been pushing. Now it's an interesting culture, interesting time because of, cancer culture and the different things that are happening in Black trauma. And so people don't want to, support these kind of projects, which is kind of unfortunate because, even with this story, we're not necessarily dealing with just what happened to Tamir, but we're kind of pushing into the aftermath of his mother, Samaria Rice. We partner with in the Tamir Rice Foundation and, walk with her for some time. And so, it's about, her move into activism and her move to change. So, yeah, but these are the kind of projects I like, the kind of things I gravitate towards. But I mean, I'm all across the board when it comes to, looking at things, as long as the story is great and it touches those elements that I talked about.
Yeah. And it's, I had an interview, shout out to Brother Calvin. I had an interview with him yesterday, and we were talking about that. We were talking about how in this business, like, we have to say no. We have to pass on things. I've done it, and he's done it, where your integrity, even Kaz, who I interviewed as well, we were talking about that and how you have to pass up because of your integrity, and that God is already going to handle the rest, because who doesn't need money? We all need money. There's a lot of things I was like, dang, I really needed that. But even as a life coach, when I charge, it's so minimal, and I always feel like, yes, I could charge more, but I wouldn't want someone not to have what they need. And I always say God will handle the rest. He will make sure I eat. And I think it's just so admirable, because so many people are chasing checks, but God has been looking out for you. Let me just read something. Companies the companies that have showcased Kor's work, they purchase his work, such as Fox Searchlight, ABC, 60 Minutes, HBO, National Geographic, Tiny Giant Studios, VH1, and that's just to name a few. So God has his hands on you, brother.
Yes, he does. I'm not complaining at all. 'Cause I'm a guy by myself, but definitely, I've been blessed, and I write as well for a living, and writing. I get so blessed just in my writing alone. To have multiple streams of income, to have different things, that can depend on, and and shout out to my wife, who's been a producer partner and just a partner, because honestly, I wouldn't be able to do some of these things that I've done if she wouldn't have been there, by my side supporting me. I always say, like, you know, I had a friend who was like, "Why do you put your wife in producer credits? You know, like even if it's associate producer or something, I
I love
tag
it.
her." And then and I'm like, "Cause she was producing." And they're like, "She wasn't here." I was like, "She was at home
Come
with
on
my
now, of course. Come on.
right." Like, listen,
Oh,
that's
I
what she,
know.
you know, she always says, she's like, in order for you to get stuff done, you need my cooperation. You know what I
Yep.
mean? People don't understand that it's a
What's your
partnership,
wife's
and it's
name?
like
Shout out to your wife. What is her name?
Kimberly,
Hey,
Kimberly.
Kimberly. I know what you're doing behind the scenes. I'm married too. I know.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
So
that's just so powerful that you said that and recognize that, you know, her input. And like you said, people are saying, well, we don't see her. What is she doing? But they don't know what happens when you go home and when you're trying to figure it out and if you know how she lifts you or encourages you or
yeah,
whatever. So I think that that's
yeah,
pretty dope of you to go on and give her that credit. I really, really do.
yeah.
Because I'm sure
Well,
she, you know,
mm,
what'd you say?
well, I was just gonna say she was an actress for a long time,
Hmm.
and so she was out like she was in something new, and she was on like CSI, and she
Wait,
did
let's
like
talk about something new. That's one of my favorite movies. Let's pause. Who was
she
she?
was one of the girlfriends that oh my man that played her brother kept
Oh,
coming in with
okay.
different
Yeah,
girlfriends. So
Donald Faison. Was she
hey,
girlfriend one,
Donald
two, or three?
Faison, yeah,
Was she
she
girlfriend
oh
one, two, or three?
you know I don't know. I remember she was the one at the midriff.
Okay.
But I think she was number two. And so yeah, she was, you know, but she was doing different movies and TV
Yeah.
shows and stuff, and you know, then we got into producing together. In fact, she produced the film with me, Lou, that
Mhm.
starred Nate and Omari. But my
Mhm.
wife even hates. I mean, she wrote something, and it was her first time, and she got to Sundance Labs on her first try. Like
Come
I was
on.
looking, what? Yeah, she's nothing to sneeze at.
I love it. I love it. And you're talking about I'm a writer. I've been a writer since I was a child. I write different projects and different things.
Amazing.
And so I'm passionate about writers. You know, I do other
Mm,
things, but that writing, that's something that, you know, I've done acting, all of that stuff, but that writing piece is
right.
just that's where it starts, right? That writing and that
Absolutely.
whole right and that
Hmm.
imagination and how where you're going with it. So I'm always fascinated when I like people always look about, okay, who is the director, who is the, you know, all the different credits coming down, who's the lead, blah 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 blah. But I'm always first like, who wrote this? That's my first thing, like whose
Yeah,
mind took it there. So
right.
when you're writing something, do you have I have to ask you this, do you have a special place in your home where you write, or can you just write anywhere? Like right now you're in a car, can you just write up something real quick in the car, or do
I'm
you
in the
need
car because I had to run for my children. That's you know, it's interesting when
keep
you
it
know,
real?
especially during the pandemic, like things have just changed, you know, so we're still homeschooling. We have like two little ones. One graduated from college just last week,
Oh,
which is amazing.
congratulations. I have one
Uh,
graduating next week from college. Congratulations.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, you know, if you have kids, especially the younger ones, they don't respect
They don't
anything,
care
right?
about none
It's
of this.
like, yeah, they'll come jump on your back, and yeah. So I'm like, I don't, you know, it's been crazy. I used to have a place. Now it's just like anytime I can get some quiet is the time, and
Yeah.
I've just learned. I think the one thing I've learned is because I write in a very particular way,
Mhm.
in a very particular format, and so I outline and I stick to that outline, and it's literally a beat by beat, minute by minute outline. So I know
Wow.
I'm page count, I know where I'm gonna land, and I try to hit that. But if I don't hit it, I just persevere and I press on. So if I get 8 pages today and I hit a goal, great. If I get 10 the next, if I get four, if I get two, but I just keep pressing because ultimately, if I stay on deadline and I'm off, I'm usually only off by a day or so.
Oh,
And so
wow.
yeah, it usually works for me a lot better.
See. So you are a pro at this, so you can give me some advice. You're a pro. Like I'm a writer, I write books
Mhm.
and all of that. But
Wow.
last year during the pandemic, I tried
Hmm.
my hand at a web series and I completed it. Just a little short web
Congratulations.
series. Thank you. And I'm so excited about that. I'm going to start filming it this summer, but it's a
Wow.
short web series, and I kind
Okay.
of, by studying, I didn't go to school, and teaching myself.
Mhm.
So what tips can you give a writer who has so many ideas and they want to
Mhm.
possibly do a web series or a short? What advice would you give them if they're just starting?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, congratulations again, because I
Thank
believe
you.
like finish. So many people don't even finish. I mean,
Thank you.
I don't want to be the advice, but that would be the one thing that pops in my mind.
That's good
Finish it. Like,
advice.
I mean, like people say I want to do something and I start it, but I think that's important. I think one of the things I tell people is make sure you want to put in the time. Make sure it's worth it to you to invest the time and the effort that it takes to make a project, because you have to put so much time and so much effort and possibly so much money depending on how you're doing this
Yeah.
project, and it's very important. And so, that is the one thing. Pick something that you want to do, that you're passionate about, that you care about, and you believe other people want to see. But ultimately, if you're the only person who wants to see it, then that's all that matters. And
Right.
because you know what I mean, because the I watch stuff that people like that I've done and I don't like it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I didn't want to do it. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that sometimes as an artist, it's hard to even enjoy the stuff that you've created.
You're
Or
critical.
yeah. And so the bottom line is that would be my biggest advice. Make sure you want to put in the time that it takes to do that, because that's going to help you finish
Yeah.
the project. So
Actually,
can't
that's great
wait.
advice. Oh, thank you. I'm just so, it's so funny. I appreciate that because, compared to you, and you doing this for a living, I like it. The like my adult children like it. I haven't really, and I shared, a couple of things. I got it casted, with some local actors,
Okay.
for the most part, but I just, when I was writing, I couldn't stop. And you know how it is as a writer when it's so many ideas in your head. But then I was like, let me just keep it kind of simple. I want it to
Mhm.
be a short web series. So each episode is, I don't know, like 10 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. I was doing
Mhm.
it kind of like that, just to,
Yeah,
to give a little bit. So
that's all. I mean, it sounds great. Yeah, I've done a web series before, and yeah, it's still hard work. It doesn't matter
yeah,
how
it
long.
is. It
Short
is.
films, art is feature films. They just
Yeah.
take time.
Yeah.
So,
And the formatting, I had to learn that because people
hmm
don't realize the format and the scene, like
yeah,
how technical you have to be.
it's true. Every page equals a minute, and so that format is how that you get the timing right on what you're trying to shoot. That's number one part about it. You know what I mean? That it's hard. People just think, "Hey, I'm gonna write something down."
Yeah.
Doesn't work like that. And I mean, I didn't go to school. I had to teach myself as well.
Wow.
And a lot of people are like that. I mean, I did the same thing Ava DuVernay did. You know what I mean? Watched a bunch of DVDs. Behind the scenes stuff. Michael
Yeah.
Mann and Steven Spielberg, and when DVDs were doing that.
Yeah. And,
So
and
yeah,
then when I think about Issa Rae and Awkward Black Girl, which turned
yeah,
into Insecure, and so
absolutely.
many other amazing web series that, I love that, where someone just takes it upon themselves, like, okay, I'm not going to wait for a major studio. I have all of this creative energy. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And, thank God for
Yeah,
YouTube and platforms like
absolutely.
that where people can, they don't have to wait per se.
Yeah,
So,
Issa's great. Shout out to Issa. I
yeah.
shot something. She directed a web series. I shot a couple episodes of
Oh,
her.
wonderful.
Lena Waithe wrote. And this was when they were trying to, still trying to come up. But Lena was like, she was on the verge, like people like she's gonna blow. Issa Rae was definitely about to blow too. So you gotta
Wow.
do like these people about to go. But yeah, I mean, it was great working with them too.
Yeah. And I think
Hmm.
that that's so powerful. Like, even hearing your story saying, you know what, I didn't go to school. When you hear Ava DuVernay and you hear, Issa Rae talking about the humble beginnings and how they started
Yeah.
and the hunger. Can you tell the
Mm.
people how being hungry
Hmm.
plays a part in your success? Because sometimes now, let's keep it real, course, people just want people to give them a break, give them something, and not really work
Yeah.
for it. So tell them about how that hunger can fuel you.
Yeah, this is a very difficult business. It's not for the faint of heart. I as much as I have had so many successes and triumphs, I still am not where I want to be in this industry. Like I
Mm-hmm.
want to be known, like Steven Spielberg and like Spike Lee and some people I've been fortunate enough to be around and,
Mm-hmm.
and get advice from and
Yeah.
some people I've been able to work with, but I want to be there, and so I strive to, hopefully put out some great films in the next year or so. But the bottom line is it's not easy. And I'll tell you a real story about hunger just briefly. It was a time when I was homeless. I spoke about that. And I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know, where my life was going to go. And I was just trying to save money so I could stop sleeping in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was honestly just afraid, like, would a policeman come and something happen or, would somebody rob me or, so I saved some money. And one day I said, I'm going to treat myself. I was still, hoarding a bit. And so I said, I'm going to go to the Dollar Theater. And I went to this Dollar Theater and I can't remember what movie I watched. I fell asleep in the theater. It was late, and I woke up at like 2 in the morning and I panicked.
In
I
the
ran out of
theater?
that
In the
theater. Yes.
theater?
Yeah. Asleep, and I was the only last man standing. No, everyone was gone. I was out. And I thought, oh God, I'm going to jail. And I went to open the door, and the alarm didn't go off. And this should be a movie. People tell me this all
That
the time,
sounds like one.
but I realized at that moment, I was like, oh, at least here, these people are leaving on these late night shows, and then they come back and clean the next day. So they're not staying there. The people on these theaters not wasting money. They're like, people just leave. They're gonna use a bathroom or leave, so there's no
Mm-hmm.
need, you know. And
Yeah.
so I started utilizing that space to find a place to a safe place to live, and kind
Wow.
of cold. And I fell in love with movies. And,
Wow.
and yeah, that was the thing that kind of sparked me and said, I want to do this. I think I can, do this. And, God put on my heart a script, and I pitched that script to somebody, and, he said I should be doing this. And that was kind of the charge
What
that set
script
me off.
was that? Did that go into full production?
No, I didn't. That script never finished. It was funny. The guy was actually, he was a blind racist atheist. And I pitched him a story.
Oh, wait. Let's pause for a minute. A blind racist atheist.
Yes. So I was trying to transition out of the music business. I had no longer wanted to be in the music business. So despite finances, despite anything, I just didn't want to do it anymore. I
Yeah.
wasn't happy. I felt like, God, I can't see a way for me to continue doing this. But there was a friend who had been a mentor to me and I'd worked with for a while, and he had a
Mm-hmm.
party and I went, and this gentleman was there, and it was a relative of his that he told me not to speak to. And I said, I'm going to speak to this guy, because he warned me. He's like, he's blind, he's racist, and an atheist, so you don't need to speak to him, because they know, my MO, right? So I went, I went and spoke to this guy, and I pitched him my movie, which was the story of Jesus in modern day, called
Mm.
Son, and it was to star Most Def, and he was a construction worker, and I had it all worked out, and I spit this story to this guy, and he after I finished, he grabbed me, and I was like, uh-oh. And he says, I was racist, and I don't think I am anymore. And then he said, I was also an atheist, and I don't think I am anymore. And he was like, for lack of a better phrase, he was like, I'm blind, but now I see. And I was like, okay, man, what's going
He was,
on? And he was
and did he,
like,
don't tell me he started singing Amazing Grace after that line.
no,
Okay.
no. He said, man, you just pitched a blind
Wow.
racist atheist a story about a black hip hop Jesus, and I believed every word. He was like, I used to be a screenwriter. I went blind watching Before Sunset in the movie theater. Come live with me in New York. I'm gonna teach you how to screenwrite. And I was just like, oh, you know. And so that blew me away. I didn't go live with him, but I just, I walked out of that room saying, man, if I can make a blind racist atheist not
You
racist and
on to
not
something.
atheist, yeah, maybe I should try this,
Right. You are
So,
on to something. I got to read some more of your credit.
mhm,
So you also teach screenwriting workshops through a partnership with Morehouse College Human Rights Film
mhm,
Festival, the alma mater
mhm,
of the great Spike Lee, who you mentioned
mhm.
earlier. So a
Yeah.
relationship that afforded him to be picked at Sundance, the satellite partner in conjunction with represent the Judah and the Black Messiah film. You
Mhm.
also are the founder and board member of Time Community Schools, an inner city art and tech based high school in LA. So this
Mhm.
is a school in LA.
Yeah, Time Community Schools is a charter high school that
Okay.
I'm one of the founders of. So there's other founders, Gabriel Ramirez, Lamar Brown, Brandy Johnson. So we founded this school together. Uh, Wonderful school for inner city young kids of color, brown and black kids. And yeah, we're doing tech and art already, set off a film program, already uh, starting a tech program a math program that does coding. Um, and
Right.
so our film program, the first round we had Malcolm Spellman, who is the show TV showrunner for Falcon and Winter Soldier, and partnered with his wife on the show with uh, um, the great Octavia Spencer on Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Be Told. He also worked on Empire, and then we had Milana Jackson, who's a great actress, who was also an American Skin. Shout out to the American Skin family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we had Eric Bronco, who's a fantastic cinematographer. He's won back to back with two films, 40-Year-Old Version in 2020 and Clemency in 2019. And so they, and we also had Stephen Bristol, who is a Spike Lee mentor, and he did See You Yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and now a new film with Spike Lee producing. So they were all like, he was a director mentor, Eric was a cinematographer mentor, Milana was an actor mentor, and Malcolm was a producer and a TV show mentor. And so, it's been really exciting just to get started. We're
Wow.
not even close. We're just getting started. Yeah.
Wow. You mentioned, I want to make sure I heard you correctly. Were you talking about the 40? I think
The
you
40-year
froze
old
me.
version
Can
with
the 40-year version? You're talking about the version, not virgin, but the version. I
yeah,
loved that
mhm,
movie on
yeah,
Netflix. I loved her movie.
Rada Blank,
Yes. Yes.
amazing.
Shout
She's a
out to
writer,
Rada.
prolific
Yes.
writer, writing for Spike. She was part of the first year of the Nate Parker Foundation Film Institute. So I had the pleasure of like being in her company and working with her. She's hardcore. She don't take class, but I mean her talent's unmatched. Yeah.
Is she as dope as she seems
Yeah, I mean
in that?
again, like there's
But she's rough.
personality. Yeah, people, man, like, cause I think to be a woman in the world obviously is always difficult. To be a woman in this industry is even more difficult.
Hmm.
And so, you know, I think she's learned like how to stand her ground, and kind of give pushback when she wants something done because, people try to run you over. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so, no,
And she,
I get what her stance is. I know
yeah.
probably some other people they may rub them the wrong way, but me personally, I understand her.
Yeah, and I love
Mhm.
that you understand her and know that, for women in this business, it's a little different. And, even in her film 40 uh 40-year-old version, you've seen
Mhm.
some of the pushback in there. I don't know if that's a true
Yeah,
story, and I know, but you see some of it in that film, how you have people around you, and then finally you have to make
yeah.
that
I mean,
choice
I'm
for
sure, like,
yourself.
as a writer, yeah, I'm sure as a writer, I've heard her say that there were things that were inspiring, specifically her relationship with her mom and some other stuff that was happening around that the time she wanted to write, and just the
Mhm.
idea of aging out and phasing out and what that feels like, as a woman, a black woman, in
Mhm.
again in this industry, right? So
Mhm.
it definitely, it definitely rang true. That's probably why I won everything.
Right, because it won Sundance too, didn't it? And all the other
Yes.
different awards. See,
Hmm.
I'm a woman of a
Hmm.
certain age, so I appreciated that movie. And I'm a
Like,
life
look, I'm a
coach.
man of a certain age.
Right. See, there you go. And I'm a
Thank God.
life coach, so I'm all about that. Like, keep pushing through. It doesn't matter how old you are, if you have a
Hmm.
dream, if you have a goal, just keep
Absolutely.
30, 40-year overnight successes.
That is true. You're so right. You're so right.
They've been
Wow.
grinding. So tell me what, of
Absolutely.
course, what are you working on now? And where can
Uh,
people see some of your work? Because I'm
so
introducing you to some and reintroducing you to others.
yeah, yeah. I mean, so www.korstiaanvandiver.com is the best way to keep up with me in terms of work. I need to update some things. I've been lazy in the pandemic as well in terms of updating my website, but it's a lot of the current things that are happening. Specifically, Gym Rat. I have a feature film that we started shooting before the pandemic, and we recently tried to get back started, and we raised, I don't know, 100 and something thousand to finish the project.
Wow.
Yeah, which was amazing. So we're gonna go back and finish shooting in July, late
Hmm.
July, early August, possibly in Florida actually to finish off versus California. But
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna finish that feature film. Stars
So what is
yeah,
Gym Wrap
yeah.
about?
Gym Rat stars Josh Murray. It is about a guy who gets released from prison. He's a fitness freak, and he's also a bit delusional. There's some other issues, and he gets a job with this maniacal gym owner who's a bit of a bully, and he starts selling performance enhancing drugs, and things go pretty bad after that. So it's
Oh.
like a thriller, kind of a dark comedy, but there's this message in that film about uh, how we view ourselves in terms of the body and body
Mm.
dysmorphia. You
Mm.
know, the idea of what we do with people who are in prison. Do they get proper care, or just different things that I want to explore, and ultimately the foundational biblical element to it is, do we love people when they do things we don't like? Can we really love people? Can we forgive those people? Can we accept those people? And so yeah, I wanted to kind of explore that. I think it's interesting with culture, like when we don't like people, we can discard them, but we'll forgive
Yeah.
to the sins for the people we like. If they can shoot a basket,
Isn't
they
that
can dunk.
something?
Mm-hmm. And so I
You
wanted to play
know,
with that.
that is so powerful. And I don't even want to mention his name, but even with the singer who is in jail now, you know who I'm talking about. Very
Mm-hmm.
talented musician. But when you think about that, look at all of the years because people wanted to step in the name of love. And look how many
Absolutely.
people ignored it for so many years, like you said, because he can do something that we like. And it was only until
Absolutely.
the documentary, with documentaries, and I know you know this, documentaries are so
Oh yeah.
powerful. It's only
Mm-hmm.
because of that then things began to shift and he's where he is now. But you're absolutely so right. We forgive, who we want if we feel that they can entertain us in some type of way. But that's just
Yeah.
the power of just a documentary. Do you see
Yeah.
yourself doing some more of that type of work, the documentaries?
I mean, I mean, you know, I did a documentary for Birth of a Nation. Actually,
Yeah,
it just, you know, was not released based on the controversy.
yeah.
And so, you know, there's been other docs I've worked on. Actually, I have the rights to the Chibok Girls in Nigeria.
Mm,
In a story that, yeah, with the family that actually has been rescuing the girls and getting them to the U.S. and getting, you know, them into universities, and they're graduating, and you know, trying to, you know, they get their lives, you know, turned back around, and this family continues to, you know, fight to pull these kids out of, you know, the grasp of Boko Haram,
mm.
and you know, their faith plays into it in an amazing way as well, and in terms of how they also embrace other people's faith, and show love in order to, you know, help these children. And so I'm really, you know, I'm pushing for that project, as a doc and as a feature project, or
That's
even a
gonna be
docu series of
powerful.
some kind.
That's gonna be
I hope so.
powerful. I
Yeah, I
love
hope so. We have to
documentaries.
fight against. Yeah, oh, do you?
They're my favorite. I'm actually doing um some research work now on this documentary that I want to do, and a story that I want to
Mm,
tell. But I love documentaries because they're life changing a lot of times. And that one that
mm,
you're talking about doing, brother, I'm telling you, that's powerful. Please stay on that.
thank you.
Stay on that
Yeah, yeah. I will, yeah,
for sure.
definitely. Yeah, and I love Africa, and Nigeria have, you know, a lot of friends and family rooted in Nigeria, and so I really want to push to
Hmm.
bring out, you know, some of the things that are happening in the region, not just Chibok, but kind of, you know, exposing things in the region. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's one story, and of course,
that's
you know, talked about
powerful.
Tamir, and then I have a project with Anthony that I hope to shoot. You know, if I can escape his Captain America schedule, hopefully I can
Oh,
get something out with him.
right.
um,
Yeah, because he's
but
doing
yeah,
it over
yeah, yeah,
there.
I'm hanging on by a thread. I'm trying.
That's good, but it sounds like you're in good company, working with good people, and that says a lot about who you are and your character. And I feel that, you know what I mean? And anybody that starts off by saying that, my faith has got me here and there's certain things that I won't do and I'm not a slave to money. I liked you already from the very beginning when we were talking about that, because that's different. That's not always easy to stay true to what you believe, especially because you can get caught up like that, if the price is right. So I just appreciate your integrity,
Thank you so
about
much.
how you're moving in this industry. You're welcome. As we round this out, to the end, what is something that you want people to know about you outside of all the accolades, outside of all your professional work? What do you want people to know about you as a person?
Wow. Um, I'm just a regular person. I think it's interesting sometimes when people, you know, they assess your success, you know, and they feel a certain way. I had a guy who, you know, he asked me, did I have imposter syndrome the other day? And I was like, I never really thought about that. I don't think so, you know, but I guess he was being nice. Maybe he felt I was a little bit too humble.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, I'm just a regular person. I tell people all the time, like, I'm really only doing this for a few reasons. Uh, Usually, you know, I pick a project or a story. It's either about the person, it's about the project, or it's about both, and that encompasses, you know, me being led by, you know, what God wants me to do.
yeah.
So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. You know, what I mean, that's all
It
I
makes
can
a
say.
lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, and everybody on here is with you. Everybody is watching and listening and saying positive things. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. It was a pleasure for me to sit down and chat with you. I knew some of your work. It's so funny. I have to say this. So
Hmm.
when you see your name in the credits, right, or when other people see your names in the credit, are they
Hmm.
ever surprised when they meet you? Like, that's you?
You know, it's weird. I've had stuff that, again, I'm not used to that. I don't know. Like, I had somebody, like, can we do an Instagram picture? And I'm like, why? Like, sure, I'm cool. It's cool, but why? Like, nobody's gonna know who I am. Like, but some
But you
people
have a
do.
cool name too, and people know you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it happens from time to time. You know, occasionally things happen, but yeah, I can't imagine what other people go through. You know what I mean? Kind of like people know you everywhere you go. I have no idea what that's like, and I honestly don't really have a desire for that.
I feel you on
I would,
that.
yeah, I would accept it if it came, and I'd probably be the worst person for my family and the best person for a fan because I talk to everybody and you know, and so I had to be the person where I'd have to hire somebody to say no for me.
Right, you be taking pictures you wouldn't get up the block because you would take a picture every every
That's how
every
DMX
step of the
was.
way.
Like, DMX was like that. People don't know this, but DMX,
I
he
know
didn't
he
do
is.
autographs. He didn't do autographs, and so he would take a picture with everybody. So there's times like if you ask people who ever had a picture with DMX, it probably included a block being shut down because he was in a
It's
Foot
so
Locker and
many
one fan asked
people.
for it. Yeah, and
Wow.
he'll line up for hours and just
Wow.
take pictures with people for hours.
Because he
You
has
know,
such a good soul. And when he passed, you can tell what you're saying is true because so many people had pictures. I felt it left out.
yeah.
I was like, as much as I love DMX, I didn't get a picture.
Yeah, I actually want to do a story on DMX so bad. I'm gonna try. There's an indie
Of
project. It's
course.
not about life. It's just about like one night. It's about one night,
Oh,
and I want Michael K. Williams to play DMX.
oh, that's a
I'm
good
gonna try.
one.
Michael's in my phone. Like I can text him, but I'm like, will he?
Oh,
No.
let me be a gaffer. Let me just be a fly on the wall. Let me just
Listen,
write your the lunch order. That's gonna be powerful being on there. I would love to just watch that. Oh
yeah,
my.
oh, I'll tell you
Wow.
that.
And Michael K, he's a beast. He's a
Yeah,
beast. I can see
yeah.
that. And DMX has, RIP to DMX, that really hurt me. Like people
Yeah.
that certain people, it just kind of gets you in that gut because he loved God
Mhm.
so much. Everybody that talks about him talks about his loyalty and how gracious he
Yeah.
was. And you just
Mhm.
added to that, saying that he didn't do autographs. He took pictures. And I remember 20 years ago when I read his autobiography, because I told you I love autobiographies, biographies,
Mhm.
documentaries.
Mhm.
I just love to hear the story of people or something, the origin and how God still allow you to shine in the midst of
Mhm.
all of the garbage and the gutteriest, the murkiest, times
Mhm.
that you can
Mhm.
still see the light in someone. And that's to me with
Mhm.
DMX. It was something about his energy and something about his authenticity. Whether you liked him,
Mhm.
loved him, or what have you,
Yeah,
you had to respect him and you
yeah.
felt it.
He was who he was. Like that
Right.
guy. That was. I think that's the thing too. With like he's so infectious because you were getting the actual person that was on the
Yep.
record was that actual
Yep.
person. It was
Yep.
like, oh, he really does talk like
And
this. Oh,
right,
he really does have like 80 dogs with him, and he's
right,
got like dogs with him. Like
right.
he,
Right. And he
he's
spoke in a cadence. Like,
yeah,
how do you speak in a cadence? Like,
yeah.
but wow. And then, it's just in his prayers,
Yeah,
unmatched. Yes. But it's been such a joy to talk to you,
likewise.
Cores. It
Thank
really
you so much.
has. You're
It's a pleasure.
welcome. And it's so funny that you're in your car because you had to escape. That's hilarious.
That is great.
But as soon as
I
you
had
go in, then you're gonna get
Kendall.
all the love. But everyone, I have my guest, his Instagram posted right here, pinned here. So, Cora, so please follow him and keep up with all he does. And if you're just tuning in now, please go back and watch the entire interview. This was amazing. I'm glad that they asked me to do this with you today.
I appreciate it. Shout out to Krista Dior too for plugging me to Sheen. Thank you, Sheen Magazine.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes,
Kendall.
yes. I
Yeah.
am Kendelllenice. This is Sheen Talk. Thank
Kendall.
you so much
Yeah, I
to
did it.
Core. Oh, see, but I didn't even hear
I
you. I'm
messed
so
up.
used to it. That's okay. So
I messed
Core's,
up.
that's all right. So Core's
Vandiver.
Vandiver. Yeah, I got it.
Got it.
It's the little things.
Yeah.
But thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much.
much. God bless and keep keeping your integrity. I love that.
Likewise.
Okay,
All right.
bye-bye. Take care.